Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you find yourself in the world. My name is Jonathan Pearson. I'm a principal with Strategy Forward Consulting, one of UNAIDS partners supporting the HIV estimates process for country teams. On behalf of my colleagues at UNAIDS and Fjelltopp, I'm excited to be the first to tell you about an innovative new solution for country estimates teams, the UNAIDS HIV Estimates Navigator, or Navigator for short. So you may be wondering, what's the Navigator? Why do we need another estimates tool? Well, the Navigator was born out of recognition of the increasing complexity of the estimates process over recent years, especially. It's also based on feedback that we received from country estimates team members just like you after the 2021 estimates process. So while HIV estimates have clearly gotten better and more detailed in recent years with the addition of subnational estimates and many model options, they've also grown in the number of models and systems we use. The visual you see on this slide attempts to illustrate the estimates user's challenge, where users must engage a number of systems and to produce the estimates outputs. There are a multitude of steps to complete, some mandatory, some optional. Some steps are required of some users, but not of others, based on the country's epidemic or maybe based on its selected response. And when the country teams run into difficulties, of course, it requires a fair bit of technical assistance from UNAIDS, its partners, and estimates facilitators. So how do we alleviate this challenge associated with the growing complexity of HIV estimates so it allows us to continue to grow and improve the estimates process? Well, the HIV Estimates Navigator was designed with this challenge in mind. Conceptually, the Navigator is a workflow manager for the estimates process and systems. It's designed to guide country teams through a customized list of essential tasks along a country team's estimates journey. The Navigator was designed not only to automate and streamline the estimates process, but ultimately to increase the quality and timeliness of country estimates. So let's move beyond the conceptual because Navigator actually exists in real form now. It is still undergoing the final stages of testing this week. I'm speaking to you the beginning of the first week of December 2021. But the screenshot you see on the screen here, on the slide here, is the HIV Estimates Navigator. Navigator is a browser-based software, nothing to download, just use your favorite browser. I'm using Google Chrome and it works great. Navigator also uses your ADR login details, so there's no need to create a separate account. Note you will need to have editor status associated with your ADR user account for your particular organization on ADR, your country on ADR. So let's talk about some of these functions that you see in the Navigator, and as well as some of the components. So this is the same screenshot that you saw in the prior slide. I'm going to begin on the left side of the screenshot here with milestones. Navigator divides the estimates process into a series of milestones, as we call them, or phases of the process. You can see the first 5 milestones presented here, beginning with preparing your input data and then moving on to uploading your data set to ADR, reviewing data quality, etc. There are 2 progress bars shown here. One is the country team's overall progress in the annual estimates process for this year across all milestones. So that's the thick one at the top. It goes across the entire screen, tell the country team how much it has achieved and as well as how much is left to go. There's a second progress bar with your current milestone. In this case, we're still on the first estimates milestone, preparing input data for HIV estimates. It looks like this user is approximately a quarter of the way through this first milestone. So let's move into the main body of the screen where you can see the current task. Milestones are divided up into individual tasks or specific steps needed to complete the milestones. You can see here in the body of the screen is the title of the task, updating your ART program data file. as well as the instructions for how to execute this task. Navigator also provides you with links at the bottom of the task instructions. These links may take you to the platform or the model where you complete the task. In this case, it's ADR, or there may be helpful resources which provide further information for completing a task. In this case, you can see a link here to Guide 8, the indicator element matrix, which we developed this year to help estimates teams better understand the specific data elements required by the various models. Finally, in the bottom right, you can see the navigation functions of Navigator, which we'll cover in further detail in the next slide. So how should you use the Navigator? When you log in using your ADR user credentials, you'll be presented with a welcome message and then the first task from the first milestone. The first thing you'll want to do is confirm Navigator is pointing to the correct data set. As Navigator is linked to your ADR account, it will by default select this year's estimates data set for the country associated with your account. In this case, I'm a part of the team in France, and I'm working on estimates for 2022. So Navigator is pointing to the correct data set for me. Once you've confirmed Navigator is pointing to the correct data set, you can review the task title and task instructions, which is our number 2 here in the screenshot above. Instructions are clear. You can go back to your computer, or you can go to the relevant system for completing this task. In this case, you're supposed to update your ART data file with the data from the current year. If you need additional assistance, you can link to the resources presented below the task instructions as you see here, noted by number 3. When you have completed the task, you can mark it complete using the complete incomplete toggle denoted by number 4 in the screen. After marking the task complete, click the What's Next button in the bottom right. Navigator will then take you to the next task for this milestone. In some cases, you may not be ready to complete this task. Maybe you're still finalizing your ART data, but maybe your ANC data are ready. In that case, you can skip this task temporarily by clicking What's Next. Eventually, Navigator will bring you back to this task as you'll reach a point where you can't proceed any further, maybe in this milestone, without having completed it. In some situations, you may simply also want to review the different tasks and scroll through them, which you can do by using the prior and next task buttons denoted by number 6 in the slide. Once you've completed all the tasks in a milestone, Navigator will take you to the next milestone in the estimates process and present the first task from that milestone to you. Note, and this is important, note that although you are expected to manually confirm whether or not you have completed each task by toggling the task complete, incomplete button. Select tasks are confirmed by the relevant platforms back to Navigator. For this year, ADR, Spectrum, and Naomi will tell the Navigator whether or not you have fully completed some tasks. So this double check for Spectrum and Naomi only happens after you've uploaded your output file from those models back into ADR. So when you upload your Spectrum file, after you've completed the Spectrum process, you upload that file back into ADR. Navigator may tell you some tasks have not yet been completed. Review those tasks and ensure you've completed them fully in Spectrum before proceeding. You can mark them complete along the way, just as you did before, and then click What's Next to see if there are other tasks from Spectrum in this case, which need to be completed. There is another view that I'd like to tell you about. You may have noted in the first screenshot that there's a left navigation bar to Navigator. The task list is one of the links in that navigation bar, and it's simply another view of milestones, tasks, and their current status in a list format. You can see we are currently in the preparing input data for HIV Estimates milestone, and we have just completed updating our ANC program data file. Our milestone and task status are noted with the boxes. So if it has a green check box, you have completed that milestone or that task. If you have an empty box, that means that task or that milestone has yet to be completed. So here are some questions I expect will come up from users about the Navigator. First, how do you access Navigator? Well, we are hoping to finish the first stage of development this week, and we'll be adding a link to Navigator on hivtools.unaids.org. Who should use Navigator this year? Navigator was designed to assist both estimates veterans with many years of experience, as well as newbies joining their estimates teams for the first time this year. This year, we do recommend Navigator be used by countries with generalized epidemics. Beginning in Estimates 2023, we'll release a version available to all countries, regardless of epidemic or response type. As I mentioned previously, Navigator is a browser-based cloud software developed by my friends at Fjelltopp, the same organization responsible for the AIDS data repository. There is no need to download or install anything, just use your favorite browser. This year, Navigator is only available in English, but we are planning both French and possibly other language versions in the near future. And as this is the first year of Navigator, we really need your help to make it better. If you have basic questions about Navigator, of course, you can contact UNAIDS at estimates@unaids.org. However, if you notice a bug or have suggestions for how to improve Navigator, you can contact support@fjelltopp.org. On behalf of my colleagues at UNAIDS and Fjelltopp, thanks for attending this webinar. We look forward to hearing about your experiences with the HIV Estimates Navigator.